Nope, don't worry. You have not gone back in time. What's happening is that I'm a paper weirdo and I bought 10 2023 Hobonichis right when we found out that the paper was changing. I don't know what that random person on eBay thought was happening. Maybe they thought they were getting one over on me, but I'm pretty pleased with the situation. I've been in Hobonichi for 6 years. It's the first planner that I really got obsessed with. I guess I've always planned and I've always color coordinated and highlighted and had all these different things going on in my planner throughout all my school years. But Hobonichi is the first one in adulthood that I really just fell into and fell in love. I'm a one book gal. I don't know what to tell you. There have been times in the past where I brought in a week's to kind of offload some work stress. And I did that for a year and then I went back to one book. I just love the feeling of having the whole year captured, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes beautifully, in one book. So here we are. So I'd love to show you the quick 3 or 4 steps I take to redate a 2023 or any other date Hobonichi to be usable for the current year. First, this is what it comes as. It's beautiful. And then my first step is I cover the date with a sticker. So we started my 2026 stickers to make this beautiful. I got a bit of a head start on this at Pen Club last night, but I can walk you through all the things that I do. I tend to skip over all this. This is the year before and after 2023. But this is where we pick up. This is a handy little section that lets you track all through the year. I've seen people do step count, weather, mood. I have often used this for editorial stuff. Like I might track my releases or my promotions. But the first thing that I'm doing is actually erasing all of the days. So not the numbers, because every month is going to have the same numbers no matter what, but just all the days. And it seems intimidating, but it's actually quite easy. One straight line, boom. And it's a little awkward to film, so I'm hoping I'm not making huge mistakes, but it's looking good. And I use the Tombow Mono Air 5 correction tape. I have this in black and pink, and it's wonderful. I did try the cream-colored correction tape. I didn't find it to be a perfect match for Hobonichi, or at least this is a lot less glaring to me. So I have heard some people really love the cream one, but it hasn't been for me. So just a couple quick stripes. And then what I'll do when I'm ready to track something in here, I'll just go through and do M, T, W, T, blah, blah, blah. I'll just write it through. Doesn't take long at all. And so I'll do that for the second half as well. For December, what I do is grab some bright colors. I'm just going to grab a bunch of Tombows at random. That's an interesting palette. What I like to do is capture any lessons or wisdom from last year, 2025. And so this gives me a chance to go through all my entries and any observations. And I try to track it here so that I can, learn something, or at least try to. And so the dates don't really matter, but I'll just capture some boxes, draw some circles. And so I'll do a flip through of the other year of 2025 and then capture it all in one place. And this can be really simple statements. It can be memories, lessons, just anything that I'd really like to revisit. And that way it doesn't feel so much like I'm losing wisdom or not paying attention to things that are happening. I'm just choosing shapes and places at random. And so what this looks like, I'll show you the one from 2025, where I didn't quite finish it, but I did go through and grab just a couple lessons from 2024. And so this was something that I could take into the next year, and it was neat. I think I'll try to do a more thorough job this year, because I did miss it. And then the next thing that we do takes up the bulk of the work. So if we're going to say this is work at all, what happens is when you open up your old date planner, it's going to have all the wrong dates, obviously. So I go through and I just white out all the little dates. So last night at Pen Club, I made it through June. See, just while chatting, it took like 5-10 minutes. Nice. I did all through December. So I did the whole thing. There's 3 parts of this that are going to take up most of your time. But by time, I'm still just saying a couple minutes. And that's going to be the monthlies, the weeklies, and then the dailies. And so what I did was take a few minutes while I was at my Pen Club meeting and chatting and having a good time. And I just did some whiteout. And I got pretty much all of it done. You could see I went all the way through this year on the monthlies. And then the weeklies, I made it like a month or 2. And so with these, we're removing the numbers so that we can leave the day spread on this side. And I got, through a few months. And then when we get to the dailies, I did just the first month. And you can see we do a quick whiteout, and then I write the day of the week. And again, I did the first month or 2, and it just took a few minutes. Some people might be bothered that it's the wrong font, that's the wrong color. You could get the right color, but I don't mind it at all. It's just a little maintenance as I go. And it's really worth it for having the best paper. I don't do much with the timetable or any of this. I kind of use it as scratch paper. And then I've already started the ink swatches for 2026. These are some new inks I got in an exchange with a good friend from the Pen Slack. Thank you. And then as I re-ink anything I use this year, I'll just swatch it as I go. So I don't think I'm going to go through and just re-swatch everything. I want it to be a track record of like what I'm using or what came in. And that's how I get my planner ready for the next year. I want to say time completely involved is probably like a half hour to 45 minutes. And then just as I go, I make sure I have a nice whiteout near me. I'd love to hear if you've gone through any extreme lengths to keep your favorite paper involved. I haven't committed to what I'll do when these run out, but I've got a couple years left, so I have time. That's what goes into my one book. And then this is my planner stack for the rest of it. Let's take a look. First, let's compare the chunk. This is 2025 and 2026 before it has begun. You can see how lived in these pages are, how rumpled, how battered and bruised. And then we'll also take a moment to write the date since we are moving into it. Since we are just about to put this on the shelf. Isn't that crazy? And so this way I can stack them up on my shelf and very easily grab references. I do look at these, maybe not every month, but certainly once a quarter. I might pull it out and reference it. If I teach a watercolor class, I'll bring it all with me so that people can see them. It's really nice to have like a textbook about my life, essentially. So when I'm out and about and doing my thing, let's go through the stack. Of course, we've got the sketchbook. I've had this out of the case before in just like a slim Midori cover. So far, I've really loved having this Hobonichi cover that my sister-in-law got me from Japan because it's old and worn and beautiful. It really does protect the notebook. And then I have my choice of up to 2 pens that I can bring. The pens will touch, so you wouldn't want to do it with pens that you're really precious about. But if I'm just grabbing some of my go-tos that are metal, that's really convenient. And then I have my option of what pages to work on as I go. So that's sketch. Next, I'll have the actual Hobonichi. And usually that's going to be in a case like this where I can have my pick of pens. Usually 4 pens, and I'll put a pencil and then a Fudinesco brush and a ballpoint up here. And I'll have this going. This is a Galen Leather A5. It's really nice. I got it secondhand. I'm glad I did. No regrets. I do feel like over here, yeah, the binding's coming off a little bit. I think I was a little too rough with it, but it hasn't affected functionality or anything yet. Then I have another off-roading planner. And this is just somewhere where I can do some long form journaling because the daily doesn't always do it for me. So if I have stuff I want to process or think about or business stuff to work on, this is where it'll go. And this is a Cosmo Air Light from Odyssey Notebooks. I love this paper, but it was too much for a whole year to be stuck in this. I think it was 18 months. Okay, August 2024 to December, because I am about to finish it. To December. That is so cool. I don't finish books often, so I am really proud of this. I'm going to finish this and then celebrate. But this is Cosmo Air Light, and I think I'm going to go back to Midori for the final. And then I recently rediscovered my Lehit lab case. I plugged in a 3-pen pouch, and then this 3-pen fits in there as well. And then I can be on the go. I'm still in kind of a no man's land with carrying pens. I think what actually needs to happen is I need to restrain myself and only let myself pick like 3 pens when I go somewhere. But when I tell you how hard that is, honestly, it shouldn't be that hard, but it really is difficult. And so I find myself wanting to bring literally all of my pens in this. And it basically is between the two of these. That's like 3, 6, 9. That's more than 12 pens. It's way too much. And so one other notebook I'm often working on, if I'm doing a color study, I'm going to have that. And here's a little preview of the Book of Green. It's going well. And I don't carry this around with me. This is more of a desk activity. Then I'll also have a small, I think this is a B6 Clem of Midori. And this was uniquely for some workaholism stuff I was documenting. So I need to go through and figure out a new purpose for this. But it just lives at my desk. And so once I finish the Cosmo Air Light, that is the question, is what journal am I going to pull out for the long form journal? And we have a couple options. We've got another classic Hobonichi notebook. I don't think I want to do that because I already have the Hobonichi paper going. And so it's probably going to be a Midori. And that really covers me going into the new year. I've got something for long form, something for one booking and memory keeping, and then something for sketching. I think if I got more than that, I would get really dizzy. And I also really like that it all fits in either the purse that I'm using, or honestly, sometimes I'll just pop it all in my jacket. So if I'm traveling light and I want to do that, I'll just slide something like this inside my jacket and be able to get on the go. I feel like there should be more drama about what I'm doing for 2026, but I think if I'm being honest, with my planners and with everything else about my life, I don't like a lot of variety and change. I like to find the one thing that works and then optimize it and stick with it. Clothes, habits, food, and apparently journals. I just like what I like once I find it. I feel like that's okay. And one outlier that I would like to do more in 2026, if I had any kind of resolution, which I don't, it would be something like this. I'd love to keep up with my reading journal a little more. I'm very proud of it. And I love looking back on the parts of different books that I loved. But I tend to do it just for nonfiction. And I haven't been reading a lot of nonfiction. Kind of like creative nonfiction. So I'd love to do that. I haven't had a lot of time, but I want more time for that. So it's not a resolution so much as a fervent hope and wish that there will be time for reading journaling in the new year. So I think I'm just kind of spreading the word. I'd love to find more people who redate Hobonichi, because right now I kind of feel like the only one. People are either struggling through the new paper or they've just abandoned ship and they have found something else that works perfectly for them. So if you know anybody, let me know. I guess we would just high five. There isn't a real reason for that. But thanks for catching up with me, and I'm sure I'll do a Techo Kaigi and update you on how all of this works for me. Spoiler alert, it's going to work great because I've done it for 5 years. So nothing is really going to be changing. But we can at least see what I've been doing.